Hello and welcome, City Spidey viewers, to our second episode of ENT Talks. We have a special guest with us today, Dr. Kalpana Nagpal. Dr. Kalpana Nagpal is City's eminent ENT surgeon, and she is currently associated with Indraprasth Apollo Hospital. And today we are going to discuss robotic surgery interventions with us. Okay, when we think about robos, and especially the generation who was born in 80s, we remember Star Wars and we remember all the sci-fi movies. And now we see that robotic surgery has really come a long way. So for our lay viewer, ma'am, how would you open the topic? How safe it is? How non-invasive it is when it comes to using robotic surgery as a method?
Well, I like to tell the viewers that, most of the time there is a myth that they think that the robots are operating. So first of all, I want to clear that myth that robots do not operate. They are only assisting us and they are actually friends for us. So, they've brought in a lot of change in the sense, since the integration of technology into medicine has happened, every few months, there are a lot of advances happening. So similarly, we were doing traditional surgeries initially for a very long time. And then the era of laparoscopic surgeries began. And laparoscopic surgeries gave us much more advantage as in terms of vision and precision, etc. So it is the surgeon performing the surgery. It is just that we take the help of robots to reach inaccessible areas.
Whenever people hear about surgery, again, another, so to say, myth or perception is that it will be too invasive and the post-operative time will be really more, and of course the success rate. So I will first come to the invasive part. How invasive is robotic surgery, and what about the post-operative part, ma'am?
Robotic surgery is supposed to be minimally invasive surgery. So which means we are not touching the normal tissues at all. It is only the pathological tissue that is removed. Who are basically, they're doing this lobby and saying that, oh, robotic surgery is just a myth and it's a video game and all that. But now even those surgeons have stopped saying that because they're actually seeing good results and outcomes. So now we do get referrals even from people who were of the old time believers, who were only thinking robotic surgery doesn't have much advantage, or probably because of lack of knowledge and all that. But now the referrals have been increasing so much that now we're doing more and more robotic surgeries. So robot assisted surgeries have great benefit. And the surgeon who's doing it will know, and the patient who's getting it done also will know.
Surely, that was really useful, ma'am. When it comes to precision, if you compare it to a manual surgery, how precise the surgery is, and illustrated with a simple example that how precise a certain procedure that a robot can do, of course, with human intervention, as compared to a manual surgery.
A cancer in the base of the tongue, that is backside of the tongue, is inaccessible to human arms. So unless you cut open the jaw or give a large incision in the front of the neck, you can't go and reach that. Whereas with the advent of robots, the robotic arms are much longer than human arms, and their movement is 180 degrees. Unlike the human wrist, it has limitations. You cannot move a human wrist 180 degrees. So the 360-degree freedom, or the precision, as I said, is because of the 3D vision. Compared to normal eyes versus giving you a 3D vision, and with 10 times the depth, obviously the precision becomes more easier. I mean, it's much clearer. Like, for example, the tumor margins are appreciated so well with naked eye.
Sure. When we talk about surgeries, again, just cursory reading indicated that robotic surgeries are highly successful, the success rate being upwards of 95%. So what are the risk factors that are associated with robotic surgeries?
Well, the risk factor for robotic surgery is actually not much. I haven't heard of any risk. One must be clear what are the limitations of robotic surgery rather than asking for any risks, because there is no risk actually. It is a very safe surgery. The limitations are certain, the limitations are there for every indication. For example, if I'm doing a surgery which is, required much inside the throat, then obviously the mouth opening should be very good. If the mouth opening is normal, only then my robotic arms will go inside, the endoscope will go inside. If the mouth opening is very limited, like a lot of people who chew tobacco, their mouth opening is limited. Sometimes because of chronic chewing, there is a condition called submucous fibrosis where the mouth opening is very limited. In such cases, we cannot do robotic surgery. So that's a limitation. That's a contraindication. Similarly, supposing I want to remove a thyroid tumor, and the tumor or the nodule is more than 6 centimeters in size, then I cannot do a robotic surgery or a scarless surgery. Otherwise, in thyroid tumors and parathyroid tumors, I can do a surgery without any visible scar in the neck or a visible cut in the neck. So these are all certain limitations. But in the cases so that's why case selection for every robot-assisted surgery is very important.
So another question that comes to our mind is, and we have discussed it in our earlier episode, about India increasingly being a destination for many operations and many health tourism avenues and this and that. One question that comes to my mind is that we import a lot of our robotic technology, which means that the capital investment for any such surgical setup is way higher compared to the traditional setup. So in that, how much cost effective is robotic surgery?
In fact, it's a good question. Apollo, in fact, is catering to a big sector of medical tourism. A lot of international patients come to us asking for robotic surgery. First of all, the cost of robotic surgery in the Western countries is way too high. It's 10 to 20 times the cost. So India, that is why people opt for medical tourism. And since we're doing as advanced surgeries as in the West, or like Korea and Japan, so that is why people opt India. Well, regarding how cost effective it is, there is a marginal extra cost, like added extra cost, only for the consumables. The surgeon is not charging for his or her extra skill. So there is no difference in the surgical cost, traditional versus robotic. It is only the consumables that the patient pays, because for every patient, the consumables are different. It's a disposable thing. So for every consumable, on an average, it costs about 75,000 to 1 lakh. So that is the extra cost. And to minimize even this, there are several newer robots coming into the market, right?
In the surgery.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So what would you advise, because our last time's topic was around careers in ENT. How integral it will be when students are learning the field of ENT, how integral will be the study of robotic surgery, because we are living in an age of AI, and AI is making an intervention in every field of our existence. We are a social media studio, and we see the intervention of AI and other technologies. So do you think that soon it may, or in let's have a, I wouldn't use the word deadline despite being in a newsroom, but be it 10 years or 20 years, how soon you feel that robotic surgery will be second nature to any surgeon who is operating?
Our future is all about AI and robotics, and the technology has, as I said, so much got integrated with medicine that every day we're learning new techniques. Now, we have MRI hologram, you see a 3D vision, around you, the image, the surgical anatomy, everything is so clear. Now, with the advent of this robotic surgeries and the increasing numbers and increasing awareness, I would think next 5 to 7 years, robotic surgeries would have been, happening in great volumes. Because as I said, we're going to get cheaper robots in the market. And so there will be many, many more hospitals buying the robots. Right now, we have 70 robots in India, but we'll soon be seeing it at least 10 times more in the coming 2 years. And that's how the volumes are going to increase. And, apart from getting the cheaper robots, we're also going to get miniature robots. So we don't need large operation theaters for keeping it. Like already in America, in San Francisco, they have manufactured a single port robot in which endoscope, instruments, everything is there in just one axis. Right now, we are introducing instruments separately and endoscopes separately. Everything is in a single port.
That's definitely a necessary intervention. My last question to you, ma'am, is centered around, of course, you are involved with so many philanthropy projects. You were also running a COVID center with your other friends and other social worker friends. So I would like to link our today's discussion with that. In a country where the doctor-patient ratio is so skewed, like there are more patients and lesser doctors, okay, and we spoke about ENT and robotic surgery. However, if you feel that if there is government intervention or social sector or the corporates invest in it, can we use robotic surgery to maybe carry out a record number of cataract operations, or where you can use robotic surgery and social intervention and take both these narratives together?
Right. Not only for robotic surgeries, but other automation technologies also. For example, recently, we have, me and a friend of mine, we have devised a machine that could perform lab tests anywhere, even in the hills. And you get them instantly and accurately. More than 230 lab tests can be performed instantly. So they don't need any lab technician. They don't need somebody who's trained to draw venous sample. It is just a finger prick and you get all the tests done. And it's already US FDA approved. I'll let you know more details in the next episode. And apart from that, if the Ministry of Communications helped us, we can have large, cable wires and we can do telesurgery. Like I can keep sitting here and the patient can be, under anesthesia somewhere in a remote village. And I can do the surgery from here. And doctors over there can even simultaneously watch the surgery. So that is why telemedicine is also going to help. Again, automation everywhere in pathology or telemedicine or surgery. This AI and robotics is just going to change the world. And for the better. Even rural patients or patients who are not able to afford, they'll all be able to get these new age technology surgeries.
Surely,
in fact, I wish I get I wish somebody makes a center for me with robot, etc. And I would like to do affordable healthcare surgeries. I mean, not charge anything. It could be just a nominal charge and do it like charity. But I don't know when that day will come because I myself cannot buy the robot.
Definitely. It is, besides all the added advantage that we discussed during this episode, it is also kind of touch-free, or wherever touch-free interventions are required, robotic surgery is the way to go. Thanks for sharing your time, and thanks viewers for watching this episode. We will come to you with another episode of ENT Talks. Thanks a lot, Dr. Kalpana Nagpal, for joining us.
Thank you.